Well, that's a whole lot of Kizer going on. So we have 8 knives from Kizer that we're going to take a look at today. We're going to give you a brief overview and try to see if we can find which ones are really worth taking a look at. And because there are so many, let's just get to it. Now, one thing I want to note is it appears that they are changing up some of their packaging, and it makes sense because having a smaller box and still having the same stuff included means that you can get more on the shelves in some of your distributors. So just something interesting of note. So this first knife we're going to talk about is called the Infinity. Now, when I get Kizers, the first thing I do is take a look at the blade size. So this is 3.09 inches. And because of that, I'm going to bring up the dead zone, as I've said many times. When you make a knife just over 3 inches, you make it illegal in a bunch of places for no particular reason. And you're not going to notice the difference between 3.09 and 2.99. It's just barely anything at all. It's like, you know, that much, right? That's basically what we're talking about. So you don't have to change the handle, just trim the blade. And it's too bad too, because Nitro V, really nice texture on the G10, a really nice neutral handle. It is like a blade that would have been decent if it was under 3 inch. It has a reversible pocket clip, liner lock, great action, excellent jimping on this part here. It's decent, but not great on the flipper tab, but good enough. Yeah. With how many options there are in the marketplace, would I pick a knife that just pigeonholes me to where I can carry it? Probably not. So this is not one of those ones that I would go out and buy and be excited to do so, especially when Kizer itself has provided so many amazing knives in just a better combination. That's pretty much where I'm going to leave it with the Infinity. Okay, so this is called the Bulldog. Now, the first thing I want to say is thank you, Kizer, for not going above 3 inches in blade length. That's already a really good start. Now, this handle texture is fan-freaking-tastic. It is aluminum, I do believe. It does certainly feel like it, but it is some of the grippiest texture on aluminum that I've had in a long time. I love that. From a functional perspective, it is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I like the shape too. It's kind of got a nice leading edge. It's going to be great for draw cutting. You got a sheep's foot blade shape, 154 cm blade, and jimping in a whole bunch of places. You can even get jimping all the way out here, which is a little different. It's a little bit of a reach, but it's not bad. This is great though. That's great. And it's still got enough handle I can choke back if I want to as well. No, I like the shape, I like the design. The action is fantastic. Thumb studs are nice and proud and grippy on the, you know, there's enough texture there to bite when you try to flick it out. Can be reverse flicked, all that. But then the color, what the heck's up with the powder pink and the black? I would very much like to understand what your market strategy is and who your consumer is for a pink on black knife with aggressive handle texture. Yeah. Just imagine for a second, just imagine this was tan, like proper military tan on these spots, or OD green. And then just imagine how much better this knife would likely sell. Now also, I can't be sure, but is that a bottle opener? It could very well be. Kind of like the Civivi Cubit. That would be a real, like, there's a lot of cool things about this knife, but the color is going to turn off a lot of people. So if they have a different variation, I would probably end up with that one myself. And I can tell you from asking a lot of women about this, pink is patronizing. That's the general response I get. When it comes to knives that are pink, women feel that that's patronizing to them. So don't go with that. In fact, I would say in general, pink is a pretty bad color for knives. There's a very, very, very small group of people willing to both carry a knife, but also have it be pink. And like I said, most of the women I know who carry knives think pink's patronizing. So there you go. Take that with the opinion that it is. I love the design though. The design is great. I hope they use this handle texture a lot more often. And just overall, a pretty good job on this knife. I'll leave it at that. Now, speaking of pink, here's another one. So we have the Cormorant, but thankfully this pink feels a little bit more, I don't know, it's not that powder pink color. It's got a little bit of a darker tone to it. I like this one a lot better. This is something I would probably even consider carrying myself. Like this doesn't bother me nearly as much for whatever reason. And I can't put my finger on why, but it just does. Now, the G10 here, the same thing I've said with the past one is true on this, but maybe a little bit more so with these cutouts. Super freaking grippy. Like crazy grippy on this G10. Much nicer if you're actually using your knives hard to have grippy texture on your handles. So I like that a lot. This is a hollow ground blade. It has multiple deployments. You have back flippers. You have front flippers. Okay, front flippers. Hard to do with my left hand, sorry. You have reverse flick. I should be able to do that. There you go. Like that. And of course you have the thumb flick as well. So tons of different ways to deploy these knives. Once again, this knife falls in that 3.17 inch blade length range. Kind of an annoyance. I wish it was like at least 3.3 in blade length, make it a little bit bigger. I mean, a bigger Cormorant, even up to the 3.5 inch mark, would be a really cool knife. That's just my personal opinion. I would like to see it. But overall, it's fine if you like pink. And I have a feeling they would have been much better off had this been turquoise or blue-green, some other blue-green or dark blue or just about any non-patronizing color that isn't purple or pink. Just telling you, the women I know with knives, they're really independent and really strong-willed, and they don't like being patronized. So that's just my thoughts on the whole pink knife thing. All right, so you let me know. Once again, just like with the last one, if you like this, tell me why. If you think there's someone in your life that would love this Cormorant variation, let me know. And let me know why you think that is, because this is just great information for me. It'll help me hopefully find better knives for people in the future. Now, I touched on this knife very briefly in a video talking about what I called the dead zone, right? Where we were talking about knife blades between 3 inches and 3.25 inches. And they redesigned the Assassin, and now it has a 2.99 inch blade. This is one of my favorites. Like, we're talking about the equivalency of the Elementum, but for Kizer, this is feeling damn close to that sweet spot in almost every possible way, whether it's the materials that are being used. This is in Nitro V, the incredible handle texture, which is phenomenal on this PEI handle, the crossbar lock, which is just really, really good in general. Actually, is this a crossbar or clutch? This is, I believe, a crossbar lock. The crossbar lock design, the action, the grip and feel of it, they have absolutely nailed this 2nd gen, or maybe it's the 3rd gen, Assassin variation. So I really like this. I would like to see this exact knife scaled up to like a 3.4, 4.5 or 4.9 blade length, just to have a larger variation, because I think as is, it's one of the best generic platforms that I've seen from Kizer. It just dials in everything just right. It's not something flashy or super weird looking. It is a very generic blade shape with a very appealing one at that. Thumb studs, plenty of jimping going all the way up on the blade, many different ways to use it. Yeah, just a good offering, just like actually doing it correct, and a reversible clip as it should be. Comes with a spare set of Omega springs and hardware, something I always like about Kizer. Nothing bad to say with this knife, nothing. I mean, they really just did it all the way it should be. There are just so many knives on the market. There's really no excuse not to nail it, and this is an example of nailing it. They really have. Now, this is a budget knife by every stretch of the imagination. It is in G10 and Nitro V blade steel. It has a nice thin blade stock on this. It is a drop point. Is that a clip point or a drop point? Nah, I think it's a clip point. God, I can never remember quite the difference, especially when it looks like that. You let me know, clip point or drop point. Either way, 3.45 inch blade. Thank you for kissing up to that 3.5 inch mark. Great forward choke up position on this knife. PVD coating on this particular variation, and it's going to offer a really, really nice slicey cutting performance. So nice and thin behind the edge as well. Great lock bar access. And for something called the Crocodile, is that not some of the coolest handle texture? Almost dropped the knife. Coolest handle texture you've ever seen? It literally looks like crocodile skin. That is genius. This is just those little things that are gonna differentiate you. That's all that's really necessary. And the action, wow, the action is very good, as we would expect from Kizer. So of course it comes with hardware. This one's a good one. Definitely on the positive side of things. The only thing I will say is that there is basically no jimping on there. And I think that the sharper this becomes, the better these knives end up getting. And since that's the only way to deploy it, it doesn't have a thumb stud or anything like that, it definitely could use it. Now, I actually have removable thumb studs that, you know what, hold on one second. So this is one of those removable thumb studs. Works great. Works great. Now, unfortunately, I had to move it up because of the lock bar right here. I did have to move it up a little bit more than I would like, but still works just fine. So you can do that if you like. It does give you some more options, but you know, it's fine as is as well. Overall, great knife. The Crocodile is definitely something that if you're looking for a budget knife that's going to be reliable, I could see this working for you. The last knife we're going to talk about is a fixed blade. Now, I've talked about it before. This is called the Deckhand. Now, this is D2 blade steel, sub 3-inch blade. It has a black wash coating on it. Well, not a black wash finish, I should say. It has a decent plunge grind as well. Plenty of sharpenings available there. Comes very, very sharp out of the box. Not too thick behind the edge either. It is a flat grind, and it is very comfortable in hand, even though it's a relatively small knife. It also has fantastic jimping. So this jimping is very nice and aggressive in one direction, keeping you from sliding up on the blade. Yeah, even the G10. Nice amount of texture, so you're not going to be slipping around. This knife is an Amazon exclusive. It's going to be dropping on the 22nd. So if you like this knife, and maybe you have one before, maybe you're looking for a slightly different color, I actually think this is the better variation. Because orange handles, if you're going to use a knife in the outdoors, man, orange is much easier to find. If this falls out, you will definitely want to have a way to see it. And this is excellent. Now, the sheath itself is a taco style sheath. Very nice retention, no wiggle. Very, very good. I'm actually pretty pleased with it. I'm not a huge fan of this style of clip, which kind of goes on the belt. It's very secure because of that loop going back, but it's not reversible, so I'm not going to be able to use this as an in-pocket sheath. I'm going to need to buy an Ulti clip separately or some other clip. It's basically going to be best either across, like a cross draw maybe, and scout carry with a couple of leather pieces, or neck knife maybe, or in the pocket with an Ulti clip. That's basically the best way these are going to get carried. Overall, really nice, budget-oriented fixed blade knife. And if you like this color combo, it'll be available on the 22nd. And there we have it, 6 new knives from Kizer. As always, I want to say a big thank you for spending some time with me, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.